Hey everyone, this is Marina, and Marina with How I Got Here, and I'm interviewing one of my, role models, you could say, Julie Edmonds. Thank you so much for, I reached out to you and you responded like we were friends, like, nothing, like we knew each other for a long time. You're very simple, very humble, and again, I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity for me to interview you so that other women who are in the similar, shoes or trying to become entrepreneurs, start a family and have financial freedom would kind of look up to you and just be like, hey, listen, if she could do it, I could do it too. So
thanks for having me.
Welcome. We know each other from a sales company that I once worked for. I was working under Chris Bute, who's like the greatest mentor in my life, who was the first person that I actually started working for. And I learned a lot from that company. It was a sales company, and it's the name of the company is Richard Allen. And I've never done sales in my life. I have a bachelor's degree in business management and finance. And at the time I was married, with my 2 children, and everything was so new to me that I didn't really know if it's going to work out for me. Right. And I'm really, really proud of the fact that I was, and honored the fact that I found that, first of all, environment. Yeah, the people are amazing. Everybody's friendly. And second of all, I learned so much just by being, because it's not just sales, it's working on your inner self. It's working on who you are, realizing who you are as a person, inside, outside, right? And today, the reason why I reached out to you is because you are a perfect example of women who overcome so many obstacles, who face different type of struggles and persevere regardless of anything that life throws at them. And you are a promoting owner of My Boss, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So I started in the sales company, just like you, right out of college. I had a degree in finance as well. Interesting. I didn't know that about you. So great. But I always wanted to run my own business. I didn't know how. I didn't have a lot of people, mentors in my family. They all worked for someone. And growing up, I was just very, entrepreneurial and ambitious and goal driven. And so when I started in a sales company too, I saw an opportunity to move up. And so, getting back to your question, years later, yeah, Chris Bute started in my organization years after I had started. And so he's part of, obviously, the organization as well. He's a great example, great entrepreneur, yes, very successful as well. Yes. So, yes.
So what were the reasons that you started, besides that you wanted to become, you said that you were like a go-getter. So in your family, nobody was an entrepreneur?
Well, not my immediate family, no. I mean, look, I learned a lot from my family. They just didn't run businesses. And right, so that's what I wanted to do. I don't know. I always loved just being my own boss, making my own hours. I always visualized that my whole life, and I wanted to have something of my own. And I'm creative. I was a go-getter. When I came into a sales company, there was an opportunity to move into a role where I could have my own team, my own territory, my own campaign, and that just motivated me tremendously. So I was so scared of everything, though. I was scared to talk to people. I was scared of sales. I was scared of commission, even though I was so excited about it. Of course. But I was scared. I was scared to interview people. I was terrified of public speaking. I couldn't even order a pizza over the phone. And so I think, Marina, one of the biggest things was that I had a lot of anxiety and panic attacks and fear after college, and I didn't want to live like that. And so going into a business like this, it was so far out of my comfort zone. And no, I'd never done sales before. I wanted to conquer it, because I figured if I could do this, and push myself, even though I was scared, and push myself, even though, I didn't want to, I figured that, it would become easier after a while. And it did. And I heard a saying a long time ago that hard early becomes easy later. If you stay in that easy zone early, it becomes harder later. And so I really had some good mentors around me too.
Well,
That
that's
was
a
one of
huge thing.
yeah.
No, mentor is a huge thing. Like I said, when I met Chris Bute and the whole organization, Suzana
Suzana
Ljuljdjuraj, right? So she was my supervisor, I guess, right? That's
team leader, we call it
team leader,
sure.
right? So she was the one. So the first question I asked her was like, "Hey, do you think I could do it?" She goes, "Yeah." I was scared too because, I grew up in a household where like my parents were, living a normal life. Also, now my dad is an entrepreneur. Before he wasn't. And I didn't know who to look up to. Nobody really did sales in our family. So it's like a new thing because you go to college to work in an office and everything is kind of given to you, So when you go door to door, you create your own like little bubble, your own space, your own team. That's a whole different ballgame that not everybody will teach you. But the most important aspect of that company is the people. First of all, the message of what we're doing was important because it's not like we're selling, I don't know, pens that nobody needs, but
right.
we provide services for people that don't really have time to provide for themselves. But the people made it so much better and so much more fun that you just realized why not? Like it's an incredible opportunity for everybody.
For sure.
So, but your story kind of, I wanted to like let people understand that you are also a single mother of 3.
Yes.
So it's not,
yeah.
I'm sorry?
I am now. Yes. I'm divorced, but
Right.
yes, now I do have 3 children for sure.
Right. So, I mean, I'm happily divorced right now as well. It's not something that we kind of like got up one day and just said, hey, you know what? I want to be divorced today. No, we don't get married to get a divorce.
Right.
Somehow it just so happens. And I remember when I was talking to you on the phone and you said that at that time, you just felt like it's just not working out. You felt like you were not heard. You were just like a deflated balloon. I remember that precise that you said. It was just like, it's not like we're talking about it because we overcame it, but I know at that time it wasn't easy. So to become an entrepreneur while being a single mother and to grow, to raise your family, that at the end of the day, what were you thinking? That no matter like,
well, in the beginning, I know, coming into, what I wanted for my life, we can't predict the future. We don't know where we're going to end up. Exactly. I grew up in Louisiana. I never knew I'd end up in Miami, right in South Florida. But, coming into this role, when I started, I saw a path for myself, a vision. I wanted to run my own business. I wanted to be financially independent, and I wanted a family. I wanted all 3 of those things, and I didn't want to compromise one for the other.
Right.
I didn't know how I was going to do it. I had no idea how I was going to get there, but I knew that that's what I wanted. And I learned, like, you want something bad enough, you'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Right.
It's not always like the way you visualize it, but you figure it out, right? So opportunities present themselves. And so when I moved up into a role where I was managing a team, and I was like, wow, I mean, actually I can do this. I didn't know that I could do it, but I tried. And I was terrible, in a lot of ways, but I was excited and motivated to learn and get better. And so as time went on, I just became really good at certain things. And so just being able to run my business, I realized it had to do with attitude, passion, goals, and just not giving up. And just that mentality, I think just was like, from that moment, I found some success. And when you find a little bit of success, it gives you energy to keep going. Yeah. And so it was a step-by-step process. But once I started running my business, again, I had a lot of struggles, and we could talk about that later. I know you have a lot of questions for me, but just fast forward to a point where I got married, then I had kids, and I was running my business, and it wasn't just a full-time job. It was like 12 hours a day. And so when I had my first son, Lucas, I actually I had one of the back offices, I made it into a nursery. And so he was with me every single day. And I think that inspired a lot of women because, they were, trying to figure out, how do I balance time running a business, making decisions all day, and still being a mother?
Those are the perks.
Sacrifice your time. Right.
Exactly.
And I was putting a lot of effort and time into my work, but I didn't want to not see my son and be around him. And obviously as a mom, it's probably the most important job that I have. And I wanted it to be. And so I think just combining the two was my creative way of figuring out how to make it happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I did. And then when I had my second son, my organization was big enough to where I could stop a lot of my day-to-day activities, like running my office. I wasn't running my sales office for about a year. I took time off to just really kind of bond with my second son. And then when I had my third child, which is a daughter, I had so many people around me at that point. My business was a lot, it was just kind of flowing, and I had time to take off. So, but the struggles are real for sure. That's for sure.
A mother would understand what those struggles are. Like, people can, understand, but if you don't have children, it's very, very difficult. But that's the best part about this type of company, is that you could have your children there. Because I remember I used to bring my children to the meeting, from 6 to 8 o'clock. We used to have like Tuesdays and Thursdays. I even have pictures sitting over there with one of my kids, and my kids are there. And it's an incredible feeling, because then the children are like, hey mom, like, why are you guys here? You're at a bar. And I was like, well
team night. Gotta do what you gotta do, right?
And that's actually one of the best ways, because I was explaining to my kids, I was like, listen, this is not like where you just get together and just drink. This is where you connect.
Right.
This is where you get to know one another. And there are no companies like that, because I remember working for another company after I left this one because of my personal reasons. And I was like, oh my God, there's no connection. There's no mentoring. Nobody cares about your existence. They just want you to do the sales. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense at all. Wow. So I definitely, like, I tell people all the time, because when I was in the company, everybody's like, that's not a job. You're like a beggar. You go to door. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Beggar?
Yes, because you go door to door and you ask people for, I'm like, no, we're not begging. We're offering services that they already have for a bet. Like, what?
Yeah, there's some stigma sometimes behind door to door. I loved it. I mean, I loved it. I learned so much about myself, so much on how to negotiate, how to conversate, how to close a sale, and you're giving people what they need. And
those are important skills. Yeah, those are very important skills. And I'm telling you, the contacts, the connections I met back then, it was like 2017. I still have them today, and they helped me so much in my life in general. Like, even me talking right now, that is sales. That's what I learned at the company, right? Because I came out of my comfort zone. And I remember Chris Bute used to always say, be comfortable to be uncomfortable. And that makes so much sense, because, growing up as a Jewish woman, we're always used to be taught, be quiet, cater to your husband, just stay home or whatever. Even if you go get a job, make sure it's like, certain hours. Sales was definitely hard because it's longer hours. But when you invest into yourself, you have to invest the time too, because that's how it is. It's a different, world. So
that's great. I admire and respect everyone, because I know I've been there, I've done it, anyone that can, we always say the field weeds people out, and it weeds people out because, they don't push through. And, I admire and respect anyone, especially a woman, especially a mom going through the field like you did.
Yeah.
It's learning how to take rejection. That's one of the biggest fears in the world, and learn how to not take it personally. We talk about throwing the nose over our shoulder, and no means next. The biggest reason, and I found this out, the biggest reason people quit is because they can't change the meaning behind the word no. It's like they look at it like it's rejection on me. It's something I'm doing wrong. I must be terrible at this, versus either, hey, I didn't answer all their questions. I didn't give them enough value, or, hey, they're just not qualified for what I'm giving them. And that's it. No means
exactly. And I loved hearing a no, because that means I'm not going to waste my time here.
Yes.
I'm going to the next opportunity, because that's what it is.
Right. But not everyone most people have a hard time getting to that mentality. And that is a successful mindset. When you learn that no just means next.
Exactly.
And that's what we teach. And that's what I learned. And then that's what we teach. And then, because life is like that, it's cruel. There are times you're rejected. There are a lot of things that are given to you that you don't want. And if you start internalizing that, it becomes, it's just really going to bog you down. And it's hard to find success from that. So it's all
Exactly.
success is mentality. Totally.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like he used to say all the time, 90% it's not what you hear, what you go through, it's how you react to it. And people take it so personal, like, no, because everything I went through in the company, in my personal life, as a mother, as a wife, as a just a woman in general, I learned a lot and I'm grateful. That doesn't mean I want to go back to the toxicity or the drama, but I learned so much from it, because now I know, just like going to a client and he no longer wants it, or that means that I learned a lot, what to say, what not to say, what to do, because how else are you going to learn? You can't teach me everything.
Right.
You
just be the example. So I always say, you're an example, and people will follow your lead or they won't. And that's why. But absolutely. So you were there for 2 years.
Yeah, I was on and off, because my marriage was just, it was like everybody was against it, because it's a Jewish thing. It's a culture, like, stay in the office. We don't want you to do none of that stuff. It was very hard. It was very difficult. So eventually I realized that if I'll ever come back, it'll be when I'm more on my feet and I'll have more time with the kids than just to go and because right now I'm just with the kids, period. And it's a little hard.
Yeah.
But every time I would come back, it's because I would tell myself, nope, I still need my mentor. I still need my guidance. I still need my pet, because I was growing, coming out of my shell, because I was in the company. And I'm forever grateful to, my team and Suzana Ljuljdjuraj, like, she was putting up with me for so long. I love that girl. Like,
she's one of my great friends. I love Suzana. She's hardcore too.
She's a very tough cookie. She she was one of the best people in the office, like her, Yash Gupta, those were the OGs in the office.
Oh, yeah. OGs. I know them well.
Yeah, no, of course. My next question I just wanted to know, what would you recommend to anyone who's new at the company and for the first time starting out? And what would you recommend to someone who's already about to become an owner?
Well, starting something new, don't give up. We have to fight through the resistance of trying to, giving up, and sometimes when you start something new, it's like we get so confused and overwhelmed, and it's like we push through, and eventually, those neurons start firing in the right way, and like it just becomes natural after a while. And so those blocks are the energy that you need. I mean, I always tell everyone, when you start to feel that struggle inside, that's when you're learning something new. Yeah. That's the important thing. Welcome it, embrace it, know that, okay, I'm trying to fight through this, and eventually get to the other side. Too many people just quit because, again, what we already talked about, the rejection part, it's not what's happening, but it's the meaning behind what you're putting. It's the meaning you're putting behind what's happening. And so either you can do it as excitement and challenge, but I love it, or, oh my God, obstacle, I hate this, I'm scared. And so it's just two different perspectives, and it has everything to do with the way you're perceiving what's happening. If I'm looking at it like, I can do this, I'm going to push you, I'm going to make it happen, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to figure it out, that's one way. Or, oh my God, this is too much, I can't handle this, I retreat, that's another way. And when people start to retreat, that's when their self-esteem and their confidence decreases. That's true. But when you push through, when you get over those humps, that's how you can increase your confidence. And then every time you increase your confidence, and the next obstacle becomes a lot easier. And I've learned that. And so, and every big negative is even bigger positive. And so as long as you can have that mindset, you can do anything. Right. And you can learn that real fast, right away, when you start something new, especially something like sales.
Right. And there's no way out. If you want to be successful, and like you said, you want to have financial freedom, be your own boss, have that balance with your children, because why not? Right. Yeah. You're going to have to learn to persevere, because every obstacle, it's like when the door is stuck, do we just stay home forever? No, we figure out a way to open the door.
Right. Right. My saying was always, the only way through it
is through it. Yeah, I have that on my wall. I remember Chris Bute used to say that, it is what it is. You have to go through it. And again, like growing up in my community, in my culture, there's a lot of women right now who are actually business owners, but back then it wasn't like that at all. Like, so with that mentality, even like there's some women in our community, they're like, you know what, I'll just stay home, I'm not going to do anything, because they're still scared to just open up and like grow. That's why when I talk to women like you, I'm like, no, this is a perfect example. There's just women in general. It's not about race or culture. It's about, you know, this is what you want. It's for your family. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like pandemic started, everybody's life just turned off. You know, we just had to rewire our brain and think of a different way to, you know, make our money, right?
Well, I'll tell you, I think, Marina, the key to my success is that I'm just so freaking stubborn. I didn't let someone else dictate my future. You know, I didn't care. And it's not that I didn't care, but I kind of like, you know, I feel like I know what I want. And I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I told you, like, I wanted to run my own business. I wanted to be financially free, and I wanted a family one day. And there are other things too, obviously.
Of course.
But that's it. I'm no matter what this person A or B or C says, you know, I had blinders on.
No, I think I'm exactly the same way. And I feel like a lot of people who end up in sales are exactly the same, because there's something about this breed of people that are successful when it comes to sales, because we just don't care. And my family used to, you know, they always say it to me all the time, you never listen, you always do what you want. I'm like, well, that's because I know what I don't want. So if it's not,
I know what I don't want.
Yeah, I know what I don't want. That's right. Why I know I want to know I'm doing what I want. That's why I'm not listening to anybody, because if I did listen, I would have quit a long time ago, because nobody understood that this was, everybody's like, oh, that's not a job. Yes, it is. It's more than that. It's a career.
No, for sure. It's a skill set that you're learning, life skills. I tell people what you're learning, right? People pay money to get the experience that you're trying to get, that you're getting right now, you know? And so, well, but, you know, let's rephrase, I don't care. I don't care means I don't care what, you know, other people's opinions, but you definitely care and compassionate about other people.
Of course. No, of course.
Clarify that. But yeah, no, I cared about myself. I cared about my example. I cared about other people around me. And you said it earlier, we're in a people helping people business. And I knew early on, the more influential I can become, you know, in this type of role, then the more people, you know, I have to help myself first. You have to be the right example. And I know that I can positively influence other people that way as well. So of course I was thinking, you know, you're building those skill sets, you're thinking of yourself in the moment, because you have so much to overcome.
Yes.
But it's like, but once you get to the other side, you can look back and go, oh, wow, I did it. It really wasn't as hard as, you know, thoughts were.
It was fun too. Yeah. It was a good challenge.
Yeah, good challenge. Good challenge.
So right now you have about 30 offices under you. How are you managing it? Which, congratulations, by the way.
Thanks. Thank you. You know, I don't, so actually Chris always said this, put your aces in your places, you know, put aces in the right place. So, you know, it's all about surrounding yourself with really dedicated people and knowing that you can trust them. And when you start surrounding yourself with those types of people, you know, life is just better, if you ask me, you know. And so I think I'm just hiring great people, you know, around me that have developed along the way. And I just taught them what I learned. You know, I didn't ask anything of anybody that wasn't asked of me, or that I wasn't willing to do myself. Right. So I think that just kind of grows from there. And once you become a person, you're able to attract those type of people around you as well. So that's how it worked. I mean, I don't manage 30 offices. I have you know, a group of core front, I would say the front line, and then they have their front line, and they have their front line. It's sort of, you manage that trickle down effect. Just make sure that you're strong from the top. I remember one of my mentors used to go, you know, the fish can't sneak from the head down, because once it does, then the entire thing, everything's, you know, broken. So make sure you're the right example. And, you know, that's hard. You don't always want to be the best example sometimes, you know, it's like, but at the end of the day, you know, every decision we make follows us. So I know that much.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to be honest with you, you guys made the best decision. And I personally, one day I'll contact Chris Bute, because I know he's a busy bird. And, you know, both of you, I admire your generation so much because you helped us. You don't even realize how much you've helped us. Because I've been talking to Marquise. He's still obviously in the company. Yeah, and he is another great example that you can persevere no matter the race, the gender, the age, the experience. And like I said, it's because of you guys, because of your generation, because of your hard work and dedication, the love for people, the love for mentoring, right? Because I would not stay in this company if I did not have the right mentors. If I wasn't scared to come and talk to you, like I've never spoken to you before directly, but as soon as I contacted you, you were so open and like, yeah, sure, why not, right? That's exactly how the company is. And it's very important to be part of those type of sales companies because of how much it can do for you. Like you said, a life skill, right? And like I told Marquise, I was like, we're like the little children. They just adopted us and raised us and like guided us. And it does. And like, I remember Chris used to say, it doesn't matter if you guys don't stay in this company, but what you learn here will take you everywhere. And look, I became a much more confident woman because I know, right? Because I came across the perfect opportunity because I was properly guided. And I'm so grateful to you. You guys you just don't know.
Yeah, but you were, you wanted to, you're a person that wants to grow and develop, and you have a growth mindset. And so that's what I respect more than anything.
No, thank you. I came and I was very excited for it. It was something new and I love a challenge. So I was like, hey, why not? But the environment from the very beginning caught my attention. The people caught my attention. You just realize that it doesn't matter where you're from. You're all in the same boat, and it's like you said, it's all about you're willing to grow. And that's an amazing quality. I really wish that people who are listening to this are going to understand that, if they're going to go into this field, this is the great company to start from. If they want to change their life skills or, just start anywhere, start here because.
Well, I agree with you. Learning sales changed my life. And thank God. Thank God I was brave enough and I got up every single day and I pushed myself even though I wanted to quit many times. There were many mornings I just wanted to keep hitting the snooze button. And, those words, those thoughts go through your mind like, oh, I'm going to quit today. I'm going to quit today. And then once you get out, motivation shows up after. The classic mistake people make about motivation is that they think that it's just going to be knocking on their door every single day. And it's really the opposite. You have to just kind of trick your brain sometimes. Get out of bed, just start doing it. All the energy, all the motivation just automatically shows up after that, but it's not going to do it before. There are moments where someone is throwing a bonus or something, or some great speaker, but at the end of the day, your day-to-day life, you're not just running around like motivated. It just
of course you have your days.
No, but every single day, so the motivation comes later. And so even though I wanted to quit, and you're saying people that are listening to this, when you want to quit, trick your mind and say, look, I'm just going to do this for a few minutes, like going to the gym. I'm just going to go for 10 minutes. I'm going to put my tennis shoes on and I'll go walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes. Well, once you get there and you start doing it, an hour goes by and it's like, wow, what happened? I have all this energy. I don't know how and then you look back on it and say, wow, I'm glad that I did that. The motivation comes in afterwards. And so if you can get to work, that's why we say the first one in the field, the first one to make money, go straight to the field, talk to the first person you see and just start talking.
I miss that phrase. First one on the field, first one to make money. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but you're right 100%. Thank you so much for everything that you did. Thank you so much for being
welcome.
Strong woman.
I'm thankful that I found, a path that, that I also had mentors and mostly men. They were all men basically before me. But that didn't, I didn't care. Whether it was male or female, it was work ethic, it was attitude, it was success mindset, it was decisions, it was goal setting. I learned all of that, push through when you don't feel like it, extra mile. The extra mile is really where you build your muscle. You feel the burn. And
right.
Yeah, you learn all that. And so I thank God I had people around me that just had that mindset and I was able to just be influenced that way. And so, you just keep passing on the knowledge.
No. It's an opportunity. It doesn't come every day. Like I said, I've been working at probably every single industry, and this is the first time that I was like, wow, it's an incredible opportunity. Like I said, the environment and what you guys do and offer, and you do really take care of one another. It's not like people just work forever and they don't see any results. No, they do. They see it right away, if not, like yesterday.
Yeah.
But it takes some time. It takes some time. Sometimes, it all depends on the attitude. But like I said, I'm forever grateful that I've met you. I'm forever grateful that I've met Chris Bute and being part of this organization, because it genuinely changed my life. And this is why I contacted you. Also because you're a mom of 3. It's an amazing, I bow down to women who have more than 2 kids.
Someone said one time, having 3 is like having 13. So you may just keep on going.
Yes, I have 10 right now, and I only have 2.
I know. I feel like I have about an army of 50, but yeah, 3 is a lot for sure.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a blessing. They're blessings.
Absolutely. I think if it wasn't for my kids, I don't know what I would be doing right now, because if it was for them, actually, the first time that my son wasn't sick was when I started at this company. Every other company, he would be hospitalized with asthma-like symptoms.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, this is it. Like, even my kids made that choice for me. So my kids were my guide, because all the other companies, I would have been struggling, because it was in a city. It was very hard for me to work, because, you're on the train for the whole hour. This company, if I ever had like an issue, I would just drive in my car and leave at any given moment. So that's another reason why I stayed for as long as I did, because of that opportunity. And I'm grateful to Chris Bute. He was like, Suzana would go to him, hey, Chris, she has like an issue at home. Do you mind if she'll take off? Okay. It was so, you felt like a home. I never wanted to leave. Like, I'm telling you, if I had a choice to just stay there with them, I would.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that your experience and hearing from, I love that. I love when I hear those stories.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would like to ask you a question, if you don't mind. So as a woman, what would you say your biggest struggles were at a company where you mentioned that it was only with men? What would you say your goal was? Like what was running through your mind when the first thing that came to you, you come in and there's only men over there?
Yeah, well, there was a couple of women, but the role models, men running the offices, men running the organizations, there were men running all the meetings. And now this is like over 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't intimidated. I think, I grew up with 3 brothers. All my cousins were boys. And so I didn't look at a man as like, has these special qualities that a woman can't have,
Right.
when it comes to business. And so I think again, we talked about being stubborn. I really wanted to run my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw what my mentor and my owners and my managers were doing, and it was nothing I couldn't do. Now, I was afraid of a lot of it, but could I physically do it? Yes. Could I do that? Yes. And so I looked at it like, okay, I will have the courage one day to get on stage. I will. Mm-hmm. That terrifies me right now, but I will have the courage to do it. And I would tell myself those types of things. And, I had a great mentor that said, really the only thing that gains respect is work ethic and attitude. And so that doesn't matter the gender, work ethic and attitude just comes from within. And so I was like, well, I can outwork everybody in this office. I can figure out a way to have a great attitude every single day. I'm writing my goals down. I know I want to get promoted. And so I just thought about it all the time. And I never thought that, hey, I'm a girl or I'm a guy. That just never like came across my mind. I mean, we weren't, I guess I wasn't discriminated against, and that's what I loved the most, and sure, there were boys clubs around, but it just, I don't know. I just didn't let it bother me, because what we focus on, we get more of, and I just never focused on the fact that I was one of the only women in this company. I just did not focus on it. I looked at it like, great. That's my advantage then, looked at it more as like, awesome. I'm going to be a great example then. And look, trust me, I didn't always have that self-confidence that I was this great example and I could do all of this. I mean, I was scared of everything, but I pushed myself through. And then obviously hindsight, looking back, I was like, wow, I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's not like, it's not something that someone can't learn.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I mean, plus, first of all, a lot of women would probably just be like, I'm the only one here, let me not do it. But you just like, this is probably an opportunity, because like everything else in life, you either face it or you run with it, right?
Right.
Or run away from it, I guess.
Right.
Did you feel like there would be any kind of obstacles in that kind of organization when you're, even though you're like very positive and, you know, hard-headed and you believe in the right cause, did you ever feel like you couldn't make it because you're a woman, or especially when you're a single mom?
I never thought that I couldn't make it because I was a woman. I mean, there were plenty of times I thought I couldn't make it just because, you know, I didn't have the energy sometimes, and I was like nervous, and you know, I struggled with imposter syndrome for a while, but I didn't have kids when I first started. Obviously, that was later, but I did go through some time where during the pandemic, you know, the kids were all here. You know, they're 17. 14 and 9 now, and they're all in the house with me. We're working from Zoom in the house, and they all needed all different things for school and just, you know, their social life and everything. And here I am trying to do this. And now I'm like full-time mom and full-time running an organization and full-time, you know, and then my own stuff. I don't have time for it. And yeah, I got completely overwhelmed. And just that's when we're talking about feeling like a deflated balloon. I felt like it was so difficult for me. And I went through a period of time where it's like, wow. And, you know, their dad was, you know, my ex-husband had to go to work every single day. So like the huge brunt of that was on me to make sure that they're fed, they're healthy, they're moving in the right direction of their life. And I'm still trying to run my office and organization. So that was a difficult time. But what I found was the biggest thing that helped me was to meditate and center myself and ground myself every single day, and just start learning how to self-love. And the more that I gave myself those types of things, the more energy, the more power I had to live my life. And you know, the gratitude and the gratefulness, people always say, give gratitude. I'm like, okay, I'm grateful for my kids. But when I really started realizing, give gratitude to the obstacles, be grateful for the challenging moments. What is it teaching you? Be grateful for your perspective of, yes, that's difficult, but what's good in it? And when I started looking for the good, and I started looking around at what I did have, everything changed. And again, then I was reminded of things I learned when I was in the field about perspective. It's either no means next, or the world's falling apart. I was like, wow, I got to go back to the basics here.
Right.
And when I did, you know, then I just felt the courage. But a lot of it had to do with just me telling myself, you got this, and high-fiving myself, you know. And when I started doing that, I had all the energy.
I'm actually glad you mentioned it, because that actually reminded me about my life. That's how my YouTube started, because you know, the name is How I Got Here, God. So I actually became closer to God when I was facing personal issues. And also as a mom, you know, you're by yourself, whether I have an ex-husband or with a husband, it's not like he was still here. He wasn't. Even if I'm married, he's still at work. So you got to figure everything out by yourself, right? And then, like you said, you're facing every obstacle, that like everything that goes on and on with you. It was like, wait, hold on. Let me just say thank you, even for the things that were not right, that were not, they weren't like pleasant things that were happening to you, right? And you were just like, in the pandemic, I think I killed myself 14 times, but I'm still here. You know, like you just, I don't know how we survived, because my kids were really small, and you go between two different grades, two different genders. And like, it was very strong. And then you have to go to work, but it's a pandemic. And then you have to, you know, it was very hard. So it's very important what you said, because this is one of the reasons why, like, my slogan also means in every stage there's a blessing. And no matter how difficult,
I love it.
Right. No matter, because I've met people in my life who were so ungrateful to be in the environment that we were in. Like you said, they don't make a sale. Oh, I'm so bad at this. This company is bad. Like they'll just blame everybody else. They're not making enough money. They'll blame anybody else. And I was like, no, in every stage, there's a blessing, because you have to get to where you are now slowly. If you have it overnight, you're not even going to know what to do with it. So in my case, as my kids were growing, and I'm sure in yours too, as your kids were growing, so were you, and so was your business. And with every obstacle, remember when you said you would bring your child into the office, there was a time when there was a little nursery over there. You can't have that anywhere else. And that's the blessing. That's that stage. That's the opportunity that people don't understand, right? Don't realize that you can't have what you want right now overnight. It doesn't work like that. So for you to appreciate and actually keep it for life, you have to go through the little obstacles, but be grateful for it.
No, absolutely. I think it requires a very patient, very aware, very evolved sense to go from being a victim of everything's happening to me to moving towards everything's happening for me, to moving towards I'm thankful everything's happening as me, because then we're actually really creating all of that energy around us. And so it really is as you. And, I think that the evolution of, our soul is really what's important in those moments. So.
Absolutely. And amen to that, because that's the most important, the victimized mentality is your biggest enemy.
Sure. And we all do it, like I've definitely gotten in those moments, but that's when you have to look in the mirror and go, I always say, do the
really,
checkup.
Is it really like that?
Check up from the neck up.
No, I agree 100%. I guess when you face that type of, when you're on the road of that kind of concept, that kind of thought process, I feel like you have accomplished that stepping stone where from now you're gonna just keep going up, because now your mind is completely where you need. Now you're no longer crawling, because I was crawling.
You got to work on it too.
You got to work on it.
Yeah. And but to me, it's about the awareness. I learned something that, it's a lot to do with the words we tell ourselves, the pictures we create in our head about what's really going on. And so when you investigate, your brain, and you investigate all your thoughts every day, I started investigating the way I was looking at things, and sort of interrupt that pattern.
Yes.
And then you install the new beliefs. So it's called, I looked at it like investigate, interrupt, and install new beliefs. So when I investigated how I was thinking, I interrupted the pattern, and then I installed better beliefs about what's really happening. That's when, again, like I started seeing success moving in the right direction, just for myself, peace in my house, peace in my heart. My children responded differently because I was acting differently, clearly. I mean, it's not perfect, nor do I want it to be, but again, it's really has to do with the things that you tell yourself every single day.
100%. Like you said, you basically rewire your brain. You have to go within. And that's one of the reasons why I love the companies, because they force you to go in it. They make you, because when you have problems at home, or you have like your own little, whatever you're going through, but then you have to go and make a sale. People don't understand how hard that is when you're going through something personal. So you really have to make that balance and understand what's going on, because that's the hardest thing. Like I was the only one in the family who went door-to-door sales and went into this field, even though technically speaking, every company is somewhat sales oriented.
Of course, no sales, no money. That's it.
Exactly. But it's not the same when you're physically the face of the company, when you have to smile when, you're having a bad day. And that also goes back, you come home, there goes the children. You have to have another kind of attitude, you have, the positivity. And like I said, this company was it for me. This was my why, like to continue to persevere and to just keep growing.
I feel like it was a giant turning point for you to come in and like almost like an awakening or an awareness for you.
Yes. My marriage personally was very, very depressing, because we both I felt like we just got married because we had to, not because we wanted to. So I kind of just lived in a bubble, and I'm a very social butterfly, as you could tell.
Right.
So I will talk to anybody. I can become best friends with a person who's a complete stranger. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter who you are. That's how I always was. So when I was married, I didn't have, and I feel like it happened to me on purpose because I had to find myself.
Sure.
So when I finally was able to go, into this field, I told you, like, the first time my son wasn't sick, the first time I was like, okay, listen, you meet this great sun array of, like, people and opportunity, and everybody's so positive and everybody wants to hear what you're talking about. Everybody helps you and guide you. So it was new to me because I was like, wait, my opinion matters? What's going on? It was like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
awesome.
That's why I'm so grateful for you and Chris Bute, because to me, coming back to the office, even if I would leave for personal reasons and still come back, I came back because I needed to keep hearing Chris Bute, positive words, and he didn't care. He was like, you either, if he's like, he used to always say, if you're surrounded by toxic people, then get rid of them. To me, it was like a dream come true, because if I wasn't happy in my marriage, neither was my husband. So why are we constantly together? So then it goes back to the culture. You're not allowed to get a divorce. Once you're married, you're married. So it was a very closed circuit, like close circuit. It was horrible.
It's very brave of you then to like go against what everybody's thinking, around
like
you.
I said, I was very hard-headed too. I just listened to the right people. I just knew what I didn't want.
Yeah.
So little by little, I found myself, and here I am.
That's interesting, because it's like, we don't always know what we want, but we definitely know what we don't want. And so you have to move away from that. Wow.
Yeah, but that's how because you you don't want it, because you've been there before, and you keep on going one step at a time. And
well, I think the power in all that is that, like, we love what's familiar, even if it's not good for us. It's so easy to stay in the familiar. And for you being married and having the kids, that was familiar. Whether you were happy or you weren't happy, it was familiar.
Yeah.
So to step away out of that unfamiliar, into the unfamiliar, is where you went. But then you found the light at the end of the tunnel in that unfamiliar zone. So that's a great story and a good message.
Yeah, thank you. You had to keep going, because I was like, well, there's nothing on this side of this world. So because I already know everything here, let me see what else is here. And I started exploring, and I realized, talking to people from outside of your community, you learn so much from other women. There's so many women I know who's been married 2-3 times, and they're still happily single, and they still want to get married again, and they're entrepreneurs, or all those obstacles. Like, it opens your eyes to appreciate where you are today.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. Like you said,
live your life. Live your life.
Yeah, the victimized mentality is very real. People don't know what they have until they lose it, or until they see that somebody has it harder.
Right.
So,
perspective.
Do you want to mention anything else to anyone?
Well, I think we covered a lot. Again, it has to do with the way that we talk to ourselves. You can either say, I'm excited, I'm nervous about it, I'm excited I can do it, or I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm going to retreat. Like, and that's really not the answer. So move forward, live your life, be bold. Fortune favors the bold.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite sayings ever.
Absolutely. And amen to that. And thank you so much, Julie, again.
You're welcome.
I'm so grateful that I've contacted you. I honestly didn't think you'd respond, but that's
law of averages. You see, you learn that, right, in sales.
Absolutely. You just keep on going. And I hope a lot of women who are in the same boat will understand that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There's opportunities. You just have to keep going. Sure. If you don't know what you want, know what you don't want, and keep going forward.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you, Marina.
Thank you so much, Julie. Take care.
Anytime. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.